It's been almost 2 weeks since SAG actors went on strike, and they joined the screenwriters strike, which started early in May. Now, the dual strikes have already delayed production on a number of major Hollywood movies and shows, including Deadpool 3 and season 2 of The Last of Us. But the impact of the strikes goes beyond Hollywood productions, which are also slowing down. Rather, productions are also slowing down in Vancouver, Canada, also known as Hollywood North. So for more on this, I want to bring in Gemma Martini. She is the founder and CEO of Martini Film Studios. She's also the chair of the Motion Picture Production Industry Association of British Columbia. Did I say your first name right?
You did. Thank you,
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I get it right. So I am from Toronto, and if you grow up in Toronto, you know, one of the sort of little games that you play when you watch movies is to guess, you know, which scenes are actually Toronto and not New York, because, you know, often it's a stand-in for New York. Vancouver is even closer to Hollywood and much nicer weather. So I imagine there are a lot of productions there. For the people who don't really understand it, can you kind of explain the close connection between, you know, the Hollywood to the south and the Hollywood to the north?
Yeah, absolutely. We have enjoyed a strong relationship with Hollywood to the South, as you refer to it. In fact, we produce over 350 productions per year through our production services, which means those are those shows that you mentioned. In fact, The Last of Us, we are fortunate to host that here. And as you mentioned, it's now at a standstill.
All right, so let's talk about it. How are the strikes not only impacting your production company, but Canada's film and television industry overall?
We are feeling it the same as those across the border. So we are fortunate in Canada to have two of the top filming regions in North America. So we are feeling it just the same as California is, as New York, as Atlanta, for example. Right now, we only have about 6% of our crew are working, and we have over 88,000 people in British Columbia that are involved in the film industry. So that's a lot of people who are not able to go to work as they'd like to.
And, you know, I don't imagine sort of people picketing are getting much money, but, you know, sometimes you get some extra cash if you head to the picket lines. But there are all sorts of people connected to the industry that are just not getting paid at all, like makeup artists, you know, set designers. There are all sorts of people who are not part of the unions that are feeling the impact. What are you hearing from actors, from writers, and I'm curious about whether or not the concerns that you're seeing the Screen Writers Guild and the SAG-AFTRA members, the concerns that they are expressing, are those the same concerns that you're hearing from people in the film industry in Canada?
The concerns are very complicated. These matters are extremely complicated. So the negotiations that are happening now in California are going to be similar negotiations that happen when our own contracts come up here in Canada with the various unions that support our industry as well. So there are concerns around the issues that are being dealt with. And as you mentioned, there are some who are involved in the film industry who are not necessarily part of those two unions that are currently on strike, but we are all impacted. It takes all of us as a film industry to come together to make a production. And as a result, now none of us are able to get to work.
But are there concerns, as you know, sort of the concerns that some of the unions are having have to do with sort of the future of AI and how streaming has impacted the way people who are part of the creative process are being paid? Are you hearing some of those conversations happening on your side of the border?
Well, as a result of what's happening now, there's definitely been conversations happening in anticipation of our own negotiations, like I said, that are going to be handled in future. We all have similar concerns, both inside the film industry and outside the film industry, as to how AI will impact us generally as a society. So, as I mentioned, very complicated issues, and my heart goes out to those who are in the thick of it, having to manage that right now.
You know, there's no indication how long this may last. The industry in Canada it's pretty big. In British Columbia alone, it's nearly a $3 billion industry. I mean, are you concerned that there may be some production companies that just may not survive waiting this out?
Absolutely. In fact, we heard of one major studio here in BC that went down just last week. So I am concerned that the longer this goes on, the more people that we're going to lose from our industry. We spent 30 years building up a strong reputation for our talented crew, and it takes time to do that. And while they're not working now, they may choose to go into a different industry because they need to support their families. So that's my major concern, is that when we come back, we will have lost some of that talent and experience that we would have had before. I do know, though, I'm hopeful that when we do come back, we will come back strong. There's still that desire for content that we had before. We, as a film industry, we are limber. We can, come together quickly. So I'm hopeful that the same thing happens now that happened after COVID, which was we came back strong and there was a logjam of activity in order to keep us all busy.
Yeah, here's hoping. Gemma Martini, thank you very much.